This video is sponsored by Factor. Hey guys, my name's Maven Huffman, and this is my unofficial Wired autocomplete interview. Is Maven Huffman gay? Most people just assume, and I don't know why, that I am. I guess, like Jerry Seinfeld said, I'm clean, I'm neat, and I take care of myself. I guess that makes me gay. I am not. I have 48 years of unblemished heterosexuality. But if you're gay, that's fine. Be gay. I don't judge people, never have, never will. The fact that people judge me, does it bother me? Not really. If you think I'm gay, makes you happy, keep thinking it. I could care less. Is Maven Huffman married? Interesting question. No. Not married, never been married, more than likely never will be married. But I've been with the same girl for 13 years. So are we married? No. Technically, on paper, by law, we are not. But after 13 years, I don't know if, I think common law marriage is 7. We've been together 13, so we're almost at double common law. I'm not married, but I'm settled down. Sorry, ladies. And gay men. Is Maven Huffman related to Booker T? This is interesting because Booker is Booker T. Huffman. That's his real God-given name. One time while we were on the road, we would get assigned rooms, meaning the office would pay for a room. We'd go in, check under our name. I arrived at the hotel and gave them my name, gave them my ID, and they said, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Huffman, you're already checked in." And I was like, "I am?" And they, "Yeah, your name's Booker, isn't it?" And I just went, "Nah, it's not Booker, but no big deal." Yeah, man, I know which book was related to me. Come on, dog. Is Maven Huffman returning to WWE? I would like to think that a return is a slight possibility, but I also have to recognize my age, and I have to recognize just how different the company is now as opposed to when I left 20 years ago. Yeah, that's right. It's been 20 years since I was not only in a WWE ring, but working for the WWE under any capacity. If they were planning on doing something with me, a seed would have taken hold, taken root, and an idea would have sprouted up already. Although, if they called, I'd answer the phone. Is Maven Huffman rich? Working on that right now as we speak, and you're helping. Am I rich? Absolutely not. Do I have the wealth now that I once had? I don't. But is it getting better with new ventures? It is. So, am I rich? Well, I'm happier than I have been in a long time. And to some, they might consider that rich. Is Maven Huffman going to AEW? Just like my answer with WWE, I would answer if they called. They have not called, so I have no plans on going to AEW. I also think that at this point in my life, being 48 years old, my in-ring days, they're behind me. So that would mean going to, whether it be WWE or AEW, I would be more of a commentary, a managerial role. Those jobs are hard to come by. And I know a lot of the talking heads that are currently on both programs, they do a great job. They would have to see an opening that they thought I fit. And at the moment, they just don't see it. Does it bother me? Not really. Actually, I kind of understand. Next. Does Maven Huffman still wrestle? Occasionally, but it has to be the right circumstance. Last year when Booker called me and wanted me to come out and wrestle in his Royal Rumble style event, and I knew it was an easy match, wasn't going to be something that was too labor intensive on my body, on my old and aging and injured body, then the answer was easy yes. And I still have people contact me all the time asking me if I will go do a show, if I got one more match in me, if I got another drop kick left in me. And my answer is always no. I can't risk getting injured at this point. I don't want to be on crutches for 6 months. I don't want to have surgery after surgery anymore. So I'm not going to say I'll never wrestle again, but it would have to be the right scenario. The right opportunity would have to present itself, and that opportunity would have to have a lot of zeros following it. Does Maven Huffman have children? Actually, I do not. Kids to me are my animals. I have several dogs, and I used to have several cats, just lost one, but I've never had children. It's the one regret that I have. I always wanted kids. Growing up, I always dreamed of being that dad, dad that went to high school football games on Friday nights and baseball games during the week. But it just wasn't in the cards for me. I think I would have been a halfway decent father, but unfortunately, no kids. None I know of anyway, or none I pay for. Does Maven Huffman wear makeup? I'm going to answer this question, but it's going to be in vain because the answer I give, you're not going to believe. For whatever reason, people have thought since day one of doing the channel that I wear makeup. Truth is, no, we're doing YouTube videos. YouTube videos, I don't think are something that require makeup. And there you go. Absolutely no makeup. Haven't wore a lick of makeup in any, have no plans to start. Does Maven Huffman have alopecia? No, I don't have alopecia. I am getting older, and the older I get, the less me having hair is in my decision, and the more the man upstairs is taking it. I'm balding on top, but I don't have alopecia. I've just been shaving my head since I was in college. And to be honest with you, if I could grow hair, I don't even know what in the world it would look like at this point. I do know that when my hair does come in, it's completely gray. So I don't have alopecia. I am balding, but I could grow hair if I wanted to. It just wouldn't look good. Does Maven Huffman talk to the Undertaker? It's funny to think that 20 years passed, and it wasn't until we started our YouTube channel and directly from the Undertaker and his partner, we helped encourage them to start their channel. Remember, when I left the WWE in 2005, yeah, Taker and I would see each other and obviously, be cordial, shake hands, catch up briefly. And by briefly, I'm talking 10 seconds. Hey, how you doing? How's the family? How's this? Oh, good seeing you. And then that was the end of it. Now, years removed and working in similar fields, I find that we actually have more to talk about. I mean, what was I going to talk to Taker about at dinner back in 2004? What it was like wrestling on Sunday Night Heat? No, actually, we had an issue with the video that we did with Undertaker. We had an issue with YouTube and just copyright issues. And Taker called me and Taker texted me and wanted to lend any support that he could offer. And it was just good knowing that he was in my corner and he had my back. How does Maven Huffman save time and money? Great question. I'm glad you asked. And the answer is this video sponsor, Factor. They send fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals directly to my door. But what I love most is the time Factor saves me. Not only do they let me skip the grocery store, but Factor's meals are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. And even better than that is the price. Factor is cheaper, way tastier, and more nutritious than takeout. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50MAVEN to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50MAVEN at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. And a hearty thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Next, feed me. What is Maven Huffman's Race. Haha, funny you ask. I spent about 47 years of my life not having the answer to that very question. I've always looked in the mirror, seen the dark complexion, I always saw the curly hair, and I always assumed that I was just half black, half white. Well, after getting my DNA test results, thanks to myheritage.com, I found out that what I thought my entire life was indeed true. I found out that 50% of my family came from the continent of Africa, and the other 50% were European. Exactly what I thought my entire life. What was Maven's finisher in WWE? Once I finally landed on what would be a great finisher, something that I would be able to do to most of my opponents, something that looked devastating, something that looked like it was a legit finishing move, I lost my job 2 weeks later. And that move was the implosion, or what you might refer to as the backstabber, the move that Carlito would make famous. Leading up to that, I used a variation of a missile drop kick, and that was simply because the drop kick was the one move that I was getting into every match, and it just was a natural progression. If you throw a good drop kick, throw an even better missile drop kick. It'll look devastating, but it never felt like a finishing move, and the fans never bought it as a finisher. You have to have something that the fans want to see, something that they believe can actually finish and end the match. The missile drop kick never was that move, but the first time I ever did an implosion, a backstabber, the crowd audibly gasped. They went, ooh. I definitely wish I would have had a longer run, more time to get that move over, more time to establish that move as my finish. What is Maven Huffman doing now? Well, now I'm answering your questions, but I assume you mean what am I doing now, as in now for my life? Well, it's good you asked. I currently work in the financial district on Wall Street. However, with YouTube taking more and more of my time, I do foresee a future where I do this full time. And it's funny because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, how do you become a YouTuber? I'd have had a better answer for how do you land on the moon. But I find myself being a YouTuber, and I'm not gonna fight it. I probably enjoy this more than any job I've ever had. What is Maven Huffman's middle name? Guarantee it's a name you've never heard before. And if you say you have, you're lying. My middle name is Klate, and that's with a K, K-L-A-T-E. My birth mother passed away when I was 2, and I never got to ask her where she got the name Klate from. I was always informed from other family that it could have been my birth father's name, Clayton, and she was just taking the N off Klate, but I never got positive confirmation. So my middle name has been about as big of a mystery to me for my whole life. And it's one that I've accepted I'm never gonna have an answer to. What do Maven Huffman's tattoos mean? Oh goodness. Every tattoo on my body is just a product of my misguided youth. And if I had the choice now, would I have them? The answer is probably no, or I would at least have different ones. I think I got my first tattoo when I was 18 years old, and since then I've continuously gotten more and more, and up to the point to where I now have a big back piece and I have several on my arms. The ones on my arms, however, do have meaning. They are Roman numerals, and on my left arm they read 12-1, my mom's birthday, December 1st, and on my right arm they read 2-12, my mother's passing. And under my left bicep it says Theos in Greek, which means God, and under my right bicep it says Matela, which in Greek means mother. On the outside of my right arm is a quote I once heard, and I always liked it. It always had meaning to me since I've lost some key people in my life, and it is, for the rest of those who have gone before us cannot steady the unrest of those to follow. And on my left arm, it was a short letter that I wrote my birth mother, a letter that obviously I'd never be able to read her. Was Maven, oh, this is a long one, meant to eliminate the Undertaker? Ah, yes, I was meant to eliminate the Undertaker. Had I have eliminated Taker accidentally, that would have been probably the last time anyone would have ever seen me. Taker, as a heel or a bad guy, wanted to accomplish two things that night in Atlanta. First, he wanted to help establish the guy who recently won Tough Enough Me, and he wanted to just help kick off my career, which helped make the show. And two, he wanted to continue getting heat by beating up the new guy, and he was able to accomplish both of these by first having me eliminate him, which helped make me, and then two, beating me senseless up and out of the arena, which helped get him heat. Did Maven Huffman date Nidia? And Nidia being my co-winner on the first season of Tough Enough, me being the male winner, Nidia being the female winner. We never dated, sorry to inform you. Although Nidia and I both entered the competition single, we never found ourselves dating. Sorry. Where does Maven Huffman live? Rent-free in your head. I actually currently live in New Jersey, and I've lived all over. I was born in Tennessee, grew up in Virginia, went to college in Virginia. From Virginia, moved to Portland, Oregon, where I was a school teacher. From Portland, I moved back to Virginia, started wrestling, wrestled. Then I moved to Florida, where I worked for the Home Shopping Network. Worked for the Home Shopping Network until 2012, where I now find myself in New Jersey and currently still reside. Who are Maven Huffman's parents? Great question. My birth mother, her name was Brenda Jean, and she passed away the day after Christmas in 1978 when I was 2. Now, my birth father, if you know who the hell that guy is, that's news to me. I've never met him. Hell, I've never as much as seen a picture of him. The only thing I am certain of is he's devastatingly handsome. That's the only information I have on my birth father. Now, the parents that raised me happened to be my aunt and uncle. After my birth mom passed, her brother and his wife, well, they took me in. It wasn't until after I spent some time with my grandmother. Originally, she was gonna take on the task of raising me, but I'm glad that I landed with my aunt and uncle, mom and dad, because that same grandmother, the only grandparent that I've ever known, she would pass actually on Christmas Day when I was 10 years old. So technically my mom and dad and all the tattoos I have from my mom, she was technically my aunt and my aunt by marriage. We shared absolutely zero blood, and it never mattered. I can't imagine my life without her, and I still miss her to this day. Who is Maven Huffman's partner? Well, who do you mean? Do you mean my YouTube partner? Because that's Zach sitting right over there. Or I think you probably mean my partner. And I actually have a video about her coming out real soon. And if you're watching this video in the future, well, go back and watch it. But finish this video first. Why does Maven Huffman hate his theme song? Oh, just thinking of it going in my head, I still went out night after night and was able to work with the best the world had to offer. And I still got to travel from city to city, and I still was on live television. But every time I went out, I had to hear music that did absolutely nothing to get me pumped and absolutely nothing to make me want to go through that curtain. Had my dream job, wish I had different music. Why wasn't Maven pushed by WWE? If you find out that answer, shoot me a message. I'm all ears. I'd love to know. The only thing I can assume is when they saw me, maybe it was they saw my lackluster wrestling, or they didn't like the look that I portrayed. They just did not see me as a superstar. And I would like to think that I'm currently in the process of maybe proving them a little bit wrong. Why do Maven's eyebrows look feminine? If you're familiar with how I got into the wrestling business, then you're familiar with my very first season of Tough Enough. And on Tough Enough, I had the bushiest eyebrows known to man. Wouldn't be bad having the Groucho Marx look if I had a full head of hair. It wouldn't be bad looking like Bert or Ernie if I had hair. So when Stephanie McMahon, who was the first person to tell me, yeah, you got to do something with those. They're horrible. I had no clue. I had never touched my eyebrows, but when I got up from the chair and I looked at myself, it was just a cleaner look. It looked just way better. It actually, I felt, shaped my face way better. I know a lot of you hate them. You're gonna have to get in line and you're gonna have to keep on hating, because I probably will never have them as pencil thin, as feminine as they were back then. But I'm always gonna try to keep them a little bit under control. Why was Maven Huffman fired? We did a video on our YouTube channel. In the video, I was going back and looking at the night that I was the general manager of Raw. Now, on that night, I booked myself in a heavyweight championship match with the then champion Triple H. During that match, Triple H had to call the entire match, meaning he had to tell me what to do the whole match. And it's okay if he has to tell me just a few moves to do, or when we're going to transition from one thing to the next. But the fact that he had to call every move punch for punch meant I wasn't ready. Once I saw he had to do that, yeah, I can't argue it. I deserve to be fired. It's a hard pill to swallow, and that's a hard fact to admit. But if nothing else, I am at least honest with myself. Why is Maven Huffman on YouTube? Because Twitter and Instagram doesn't pay as good. Well, I'm on YouTube because I have a partner, a YouTube partner, who reached out to me with a crazy idea, an idea about talking and introducing people to the wonderful world of professional wrestling. Had no clue it would become anything. Didn't think I'd ever turn this into a career, but sometimes the good Lord above looks down and decides to bless us. Why am I on YouTube? Because I'm blessed. Blessed every day. Why does Maven Huffman sweat so much? I do. I run hot. I don't know if it has anything to do with my past steroid use. Ever since the days of me taking steroids, I sweat. I run hot. Hell, I sweat at times when I probably shouldn't be sweating. I'm sure that means something bad health-wise, but yeah, I just run hot. Why did Maven Huffman get arrested? Great, glad we saved the easy one for last. And it actually has a complex answer. To find out, watch the video on screen.